Today we are visiting a town that has been described many times in the media as the most deprived town in the UK. Jaywick is often found in the news as the poorest town in Britain, but many observers often underestimate how bad things really got in the recent years. But here we are in Jaywick in 2024. So join me today to see if there's been any recent improvements or whether this is still the most deprived town in broken Britain. So to understand what Jaywick is like in 2024, let's do a recap on the past. First, where is it? Jaywick is a coastal village in the Soaring district in the east of Essex, located very near to Clacton-on-Sea and is about 60 miles from central London. Jaywick is almost 100 years old and was built in the 1930s on the land of a salt marsh which was not suitable for agriculture. At first, this coastal location was set to be a place for low-cost holiday homes for working class families before the time of airlines giving cheap and affordable trips abroad. It became a popular location for the working class families during the 1930s for mainly Londoners and residents of Essex. Then shortly after the Second World War, the fate of this coastal town changed, and unfortunately not in a positive way. Many homes in London and Essex were lost during the World War and people relocated to their holiday homes in Jaywick. But that is where the issues started to arrive. Remember, these are just holiday homes, purpose built for short stays for holidays and not permanent living. Temporary holiday homes were constructed with thinner materials and were smaller in size than traditional housing. And many people after the war converted these temporary structures into permanent housing. After the World War, simply this became an unplanned town. The government released something called the English Indices of Deprivation, which covers 39 separate indicators including and not limited to income, employment, education, health, crime, barriers to housings and services, and also general living environment. For the last 3 reports, which is over the last 10 years, Jaywick is in the Soaring district has been ranked number 1 for deprivation. Jaywick tops the list as the most deprived town of 32,844 areas in the UK. I think it's worth mentioning I'll also be doing a video on the least deprived area in the UK, so do subscribe if you want to check that out. An interesting fact about this now infamous Jaywick is that it used to be in an advert for a presidential election describing it as the only way you can stop this becoming a reality, and that was for Trump's campaign. Many residents were upset and angered by this, and also other media reports about their hometown. When I spoke to some of the locals, they felt the measurements of this report were unfair and it doesn't take into account the community itself. I have to agree with this because during my visit, not only were the residents super lovely to me, they're also nice to each other. Many people were out and about outside their small homes speaking to one another, and a sense of community and genuine interest of how each other person was doing was apparent throughout. When walking down the beach area, everyone stopped to say good morning and having conversations with each other. You wouldn't get that on the tube in London, and you wouldn't get that up and down the country in other communities. After mainstream television ran shows about this town, many people have visited to follow and highlight the struggles of this town. However, recently it had some investment with a 5.3 million commercial space on the seafront next to Jaywick Sands, which opened in September 2023. It comprises of 24 retail shops. However, during my visit on a late Saturday morning at the end of February, only a handful were occupied and open, the main one being the restaurant, which I'm sure does some great trade in spring and summer. So has this redevelopment highlighted better things to come for the area? I'm not so sure, because when you walk 2 minutes west of this location, there is a community centre which is looking very tired, and also the surroundings had abandoned buildings, so it doesn't show and offer any signs of revitalisation here. The small bungalows here sell for around £70,000 to £90,000, which sounds like a bargain, but remember, these are purpose-built holiday homes, not your traditional bungalow or house. By the way, do you know why they called it a bungalow? It's because the builders gave up and bung a low roof on it. Thank you, I'm here all week. Generally, properties in Jaywick average around 160,000, which is far below the county average. Crime rates in Jaywick are a little above the average than the county, but not as high as Clacton-on-Sea. This is showing that residents do look out for one another in this small town. Towards the end of my time here in Jaywick, I started to walk down the beach to help complete my final video footage using the drone. I was surprised by how clean and nice the beach was, and certainly one of the best sandy beaches still remaining in the UK. This beach has a lot going for it and was a pleasant place to sit and relax even on a non-seasonal day like today. Making my way off the beach and getting back into my car, I was then quickly put back into the reality of Jaywick. Huge potholes and many roads difficult to navigate without damaging your car. So although there has been investment in a new commercial space, there is still plenty more investment that is needed here in Jaywick to make this an inviting place to visit and also live. So that's all folks, I'll see you next week for some more adventures.
Maybe I need a break, maybe that's why I fade into this bitter taste. I think I'll let it be.